Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are here with Lindsay Halsey today for our monthly GoWP monthly expert. Really messing up my words. Monthly GoWP expert series. Lindsay Halsey is our SEO expert. She is the founder of Pathfinder SEO. It's a really great service that we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. If you're here watching, let me know in the chat whether you're here on Facebook or we're live on YouTube as well. I think you can even find us on LinkedIn and Twitter/X as well too. So if you're watching, just say hi in the comments so we know you're here. And really quick, just before we get started, I'm going to say a few words about GoWP in case folks watching aren't fully familiar with who we are and what we do. At GoWP, we like to say that we create happiness for digital agencies and help them to become more profitable. So whether you're looking to grow your team with a developer, a copywriter, a designer, or a virtual assistant, or you're interested in outsourcing services so you can focus on growth and get yourself out of the weeds, we've got you covered with white labeled managed services as well, things like 24/7 content edits, website maintenance, all of those sorts of things. We're here to help. We're here to help you grow. And we'd love to have that conversation to see how GoWP services can help you and your agency. Apart from that, we've also built the Digital Agency Owners community on Facebook, and it's an active community of more than, I think, 2,300 agency owners in there. So a lot of folks are watching that, watching this live in there now, and some folks are over on YouTube. That's fine as well. But it's a Facebook group where we hold regular calls like this. We have Friday happiness hours, which we just got started back into after a summer hiatus, and those are really great. And we recently just launched the Micro Agency Academy, which is an online course for growing your agency. I'd love for you all to check that out. We are currently running a 30% off the first 3 months discount, and we have a giveaway that is currently open. So I will share all those links in the comments after I'm done talking here, and you can enter the giveaway, check out the Micro Agency Academy, and join the Facebook group if you haven't already. So if you have any questions about anything along those lines, you can reach out to me, Emily at GoWP, or just tag me in the Facebook group, and I'd be happy to have those conversations. If you have any questions about SEO, that's what Lindsay's here for today. So today we are going to be talking about SEO monthly reporting. Lindsay, like I said, is a co-founder of Pathfinder SEO and partner of Webshine, which is a search engine marketing agency. She enjoys teaching site owners, freelancers, SEO processes that they can apply to their business to grow recurring revenue. So we're really fortunate to have Lindsay as one of our GoWP experts. She's just such a fountain of knowledge and wisdom when it comes to SEO. So have your questions ready. If you have SEO questions, bring them. Go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll get them to Lindsay later when we're ready. But yeah, Lindsay, welcome. Happy to have you here.
Thanks so much, Emily, and thanks everyone for being here. I'm really excited to dive in today. We're going to talk about monthly SEO reporting, which honestly is just not a very exciting topic. Oftentimes, monthly reporting feels a little bit more like a chore or work. And so I want to start today. I'm going to get you fired up about reporting along the way, but then know that there's going to be time for more general SEO questions or around the business of SEO questions. And I know one or two have already come in via Facebook. So we'll have time for that. I'm going to walk you through a series of slides, show you a couple of things. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and we'll keep this as interactive as possible. So let me go ahead and share those slides. Here we go, and we'll get started. Pretty basic. Today, we're going to cover the what, why, and how of monthly SEO reports. And when we go back and kind of think about charging a monthly retainer for SEO services, I think about there really being as three core components of the offering. And this scales whether your clients are paying you for an hour or two of your time a month for SEO or 20 hours a month of time for SEO. And that is, we can bucket our efforts into three main categories. There's the communication category, there's reporting, and then there's action items. Those are the things you're doing to actually move the needle and build results. At our agency, Webshine, I feel like in the early days, the way we built our agency was by having a lot of contrast between our approach and other agencies' approach on the communication side. So by mastering how to communicate about SEO with clients, by staying in touch with them regularly and doing things that were really basic, like responding to emails and responding to phone calls and sending proposals when we said we would, we watched our business grow, our monthly recurring revenue grow really quickly. And so a big part of what we are communicating on an ongoing basis is what we're seeing in the results. And ultimately, we've found that basically a monthly approach to reporting is the best way to report on results on an ongoing basis. And so let's talk for a couple minutes about some reasons why it's important to invest in monthly SEO reporting for clients. The first is just because it meets their expectations. It's considered an industry standard to provide reports to your clients each month, or at least on an ongoing basis. And even if your clients don't fully digest the data or the insights you share, it's still kind of part of the industry standard and the client's expectations. The next is that it helps to keep the lines of communication very open. You're busy, your client is too. It's a consistent touch point that ensures you communicate results and action items on an ongoing basis so that you don't become one of those agencies that just sends an invoice for SEO services, but then doesn't actually keep the client up to date with what the result of those efforts are or the things that you're working on. For me, it also really helps a lot with kind of having an active management component to our SEO campaign performance. Really, you can't manage what you don't measure. And so monthly SEO reporting ensures your SEO strategy and action items support your clients' overall goals. And so what I mean by that is, this morning I was on a coaching call with somebody, and one of the things that we noticed in the monthly results is for a client that had really consistent ranking performance, the client saw a lot of drops in ranking and performance. And this was super abnormal. And so by looking at the monthly report, we sort of know an area to dig into. We actually found sort of a security or a technical issue that had caused Google to kind of respond with a ranking drop. And so by having this monthly reporting and rank tracking going on, you're able to identify what's going well, what's not going well, and then take action and change sort of the overall strategy or what the focus areas might be in the coming months to make sure they're current with what the client's actually seeing in their ongoing results. So if you do this type of reporting quarterly, one of the concerns there is that something could go amiss or something could go unnoticed in the early part of a quarter, and then you don't actually pick up on it until it's 3 months down the road. And at that point, the clients had several months of down results. This goes in line with this topic of proactively preventing big problems. So if you're not regularly reporting and you don't catch a critical issue, those issues can really compound over time. The same with big wins. We also want to be able to proactively communicate the big wins and the things that we're seeing that are positive. We can only do that if we're committed to consistently looking at the data. The big part is to highlight the value you're providing. So if you're charging a monthly retainer, especially if it's in the $1,000 a month range, we need to consistently show and highlight value. And so from noting the value by just saying part of the value is the report, part of it is me looking at your analytics, part of it is my communication, and then also the action items. We worked on this blog post, we fixed these page not found errors, whatever those might be. By touching and communicating that monthly, we show that we're providing ongoing value for our customers. So now you know why we should invest in reporting. Let's talk about what to actually include. Probably the biggest mistake we see people make with monthly reporting, there's a couple of them, but the biggest is probably over-reporting. So building a report that has 20 pages that looks at every angle of everything every month, versus staying sort of at that more business owner level, that remembering sort of who your audience is. And so what you're going to see here is an approach to reporting that keeps it high level and sort of at that 360 view that a stakeholder or business owner appreciates, while still giving you enough data to dig in and to know, hey, maybe I should go, now dig into an issue we're having or understand where the win came from. And really, the two ingredients to ongoing reporting are going to be some type of a report. It could be a PDF or a link-based report, something that they could pull up and view live, and then an email. And our personal preference is that it's a personalized email, so that reporting becomes something that does have automation involved, But ultimately, there's also personalization involved because it's those insights that your customers value. So when we look at what those reports entail, generally speaking, they're powered by Google Analytics and sometimes by Google Search Console or other data points. But when it comes to the type of data we want to share with our clients, I basically kind of in my head have a bit of a flow. And the first part of the flow is our customers want to understand how much traffic did they get? How high of a quality, metric did we get? Is it the right traffic? Is the site engaging and performing well? And then what type of conversion are we getting out of it? Whether that conversion is lead generation, revenue, etc. And so here you can see we have basically the beginning. This is a snapshot of a report powered by Pathfinder, but you can create something like this in many different platforms. And we start by telling the story around quantity with sessions and are always looking for trends. How does this compare to the same month last year? And how does it compare to last month? For some clients' businesses, seasonality is a big thing. So comparing August, say, to July just really doesn't make sense. And so we do need to compare to the previous historic period that is applicable. So we start with volume, but then we also want to look at quality. We want to look at time on site, or in this case, session duration, and then also engagement rate. That's one of the GA4 metrics. Because we want to say, okay, not just we got you more traffic than last year, but also that traffic either improved or decreased in its quality and in the site, in its engagement, because we really want traction from our visitors. And then we tend to look at conversion rate, essentially what percent of these visitors are actually doing the things we want them to do, like completing a form or clicking on a phone number. And so these are the core metrics that we're following over time. And then we can also chart them out. And this just gives your clients a big picture sense of how their website is performing across the board. Then I like to give them a little more contextual data and start to focus on how are those visitors making it to the website. And in this case, visitors, basically Google Analytics 4 breaks it down by marketing channel. For most of our clients, organic search is going to be the top, if not, one of the top 3 traffic sources. And so this is one of those areas that always looks good from an SEO standpoint, because you're saying organic search is a huge piece of the pie for your business. And here we can actually look again at quantity and then quality of traffic. So we look at sessions and then again, look at engagement related statistics and conversion related statistics. And we can tell the client a broader story around how they're actually getting traffic to their website. Then I like to dive into the part that I'm actually responsible for, and that is the organic search performance. And so we have another section where we basically are overlaying a segment in Google Analytics saying, okay, now look at all the same metrics, but only look at them if the traffic is from organic search. So Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc., and free traffic. And here we can get down and start to see trends related in the organic traffic. And you can tell there would be some telling stories that July and August were both really strong months for this client's website after having a really sluggish start to the year. Traffic January through June was essentially down year over year. And then in this case, July and August were up. And I actually kind of remember which client this data came from. And in this case, it was a client that actually decided to hire us for an SEO sprint instead of a monthly SEO plan, because they have a highly seasonal business. And we completed that sprint in the month of May. And so you can see in June, we really didn't have a lot of traction. It was kind of a low month, but makes sense because SEO doesn't move, like super immediately to our actions. But then July and August are looking really strong, and our signals that the work that we did sort of in those spring months is coming in and giving the client and this website the boost that they were looking for in the season of interest. So if I was providing them monthly reports, that'd be part of the story I'd be telling in my monthly reports, is that, hey, July and August are really showing us the type of strength that we anticipate, and then we'd be continuing to monitor from there. Part of what I like to talk about when it comes to organic search is also starting to look at page performance as organic landing pages. And so you're probably familiar with basically looking at the lens of what pages on the website are getting the most traffic. And that's interesting from what are your most valuable pages? But also, when you add in the lens of this concept of the organic landing page, you start to talk about basically when the client is winning the click from the actual search. So what are their most valuable pages from an SEO standpoint? The concept of a landing page is a hard one for clients in terms of organic landing page. But if I click over here, essentially, and I'm kind of just playing around, I just clicked into a new tab. Let's see, share this tab instead. Let's see if I can keep things rolling with my technology skills here. But if I do how to start an SEO business, if I do a search on Google, essentially, and I come in here, anytime someone clicks on one of these listings, or in this case, here's one to our website, when I click on this, it gets registered as an organic landing page. It's the thing, it's the hook that brought them in. And so the reason I think it's really valuable to report on that is you can quickly tell a client, hey, it's your blog posts that are basically responsible for your traffic, or hey, it's your services pages or your homepage that's doing really well. And sometimes you can tie that to the efforts you're doing. So if it's all blog posts, then you're able to go back and tell the story that, hey, this is the right initiative that we should be focused on in this moment. So that's a little bit more about sort of this concept of the organic landing page. The next thing is we get into keyword performance, and the value of rankings and rank tracking is definitely one of those debatable topics in SEO. And a big part of why that can be a debatable topic is there's questions around what the value is, a snapshot in time of rankings and measuring that when there's a world of personalized search and all sorts of other things that influence the search results I receive versus the ones you do in a different geography with different history and browser settings. That being said, I find it really valuable to just have, again, another basic touch point of sort of a leading indicator of results. So when I see rankings improve, I can go back and say, okay, I anticipate if rankings are improving, I should see a traffic increase. If the economy and everything kind of external to the client's business is still strong. Or on the other hand, if I see a ranking drop, it may cause me in the monthly reports to say, whoa, I got to go dig in and see what's happening here. Like that example of the coaching session I had earlier today. So either way, I find value in not sitting here and belaboring small increases and decreases, but rather keeping an eye on sort of some of the bigger trends and seeing if it's just a one position movement here and there. The question is it moving or trending in the right direction? Or if it's something more sizable, trying to dive in and understand the why. So let's talk for a minute about how to create a monthly report. And the next biggest mistake that we find, if mistake number one was reporting with too much data, like having the 20-page report, the second mistake, and it's easy to do, is basically to not have an automated system for creating a monthly report. So to be pulling screenshots from analytics, screenshots from the search results, or whatever you want, and sort of writing a client email or compiling some kind of a report, but doing so in a manual way. And that breaks down for a couple reasons. One, it takes too much time. Two, it's not scalable. Two people would probably pull data in slightly different ways. And so as you want other team members to take over reporting for you, they're sitting there and probably grabbing data in a way that's not consistent with maybe how you did it in the past. And so there can be some major issues there. It's also just really monotonous. And so there are a lot of tools out there that help you to create SEO reports and really help you to create reports, marketing reports in general for your clients. And I wanted to highlight just a couple of them and give you kind of a little bit of the lay of the land and some of the pros and cons of different tools. So as an SEO software for freelancers and agencies who want to offer SEO services, it's probably not surprising that Pathfinder offers integrated white label monthly reports. And so they're powered by Google Analytics and our in-house rank tracking. They're automated, meaning once you hook up to analytics and you add your keywords, we generate this report for you every month. And then they can also be white labeled. And so in our platform, if we come here, I can click on, sorry, I clicked on the wrong link, but that's okay because I wasn't sharing the right tab. But here I can go into the monthly reports. I can toggle, I can have a history of Universal Analytics powered reports and GA4 reports all running in parallel. But I can basically very quickly create a monthly report that I can share the link for clients, or I can just simply export into a PDF. And that look and feel is what you're already familiar with from the slides I was sharing. So this is a great solution for essentially getting started with offering SEO reports, keeping things simple, and firing up reports really quickly that clients love. And so I use Pathfinder's reports in our agency context at Webshine because our clients really like them, and they're easy to use, and they take me 5 minutes to set up. So that's a huge value add. The other option out there is Google Data Studio, or now I should probably update this to Google Looker Studio. And with Google Looker Studio, you can create a very custom report. It's sort of like a grid display, and you can pull in data and model it however you like. Out of the box, you can connect to Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Google Ads. So there's a lot of value there, being able to connect to lots of different sources. It doesn't include rank tracking by default, which is kind of an issue from an SEO standpoint. But there are a lot of custom integrations out there. So you can go get hooks to hook into your MailChimp data and things like that, and pull them in and build a custom dashboard for your clients. These can also be white labeled. And Google Looker Studio is wonderful. The learning curve, like all things Google, is really steep. And, yesterday, some of the folks on our Webshine team that run our paid campaigns, their reports are powered in Google Data Studio, and things that were working last month, the sources have disconnected, and there can be some other challenges. And so it's not, even with kind of a robust initial setup, it's not entirely set it and forget it, because sometimes you have to do a little debugging and things to generate that report. But then you can share it with your clients in a link-based format, or you can share it with them as a PDF. And so it's just one of those highly customizable solutions. And then there are tools out there like Agency Analytics that probably actually I should have sitting visually between Pathfinder and Data Studio. So they have more integrations and some built-in templates for you, so a little lower learning curve than a Data Studio, but certainly not a quick 5-minute setup like Pathfinder. That's really an SEO-focused report. So whatever solution you use, you're going to want to spend some time essentially analyzing the data and then emailing this monthly report to clients. And when we email the monthly report, essentially what I always try to remind myself is that some kind of an automated report really provides little value. So if all I do is attach a Pathfinder report and attach it to an email and say, "Hi, Jill, attached is your August SEO report, best, Lindsay," and I leave it to the client to review the results, I've really provided almost no value, because my client is probably going to hit delete on that email. Instead, it's really the analysis and overview that turns our data into insights and adds value. And so I basically have kind of an email framework in my head that I'm utilizing every time I create a monthly report. And the first is I overview the results from the previous month. So I talk a little bit about the big picture, how they're doing as a whole, which marketing channels are leading to traffic, and then I get into the SEO data and I talk a lot more about, hey, how is this data trending? What am I seeing, et cetera. Then I summarize the action items we completed the previous month. So what did we do? I let them know what the plan is or the schedule for the upcoming month. And then I cover anything I might need from the client at this time. It could be anything from just confirmation that we're on for our standing monthly meeting. It could be, hey, I'm waiting for approval on this piece of content. It could be, the client's building a new website and I'm looking for access to the dev URL or something like that. So, and then I sign off. And so, our agency is sending out 50 to, 60 of these types of emails each month. And we try to get these out, one for every customer, essentially. We try to get them out by like around the 7th of every month. And the reason is because it's not an automated process. And I'm actually putting time into analyzing the results. I can't just send them all on the first of the month and get this task off my plate. We also really phase in at this time of the month is we really focus in on our project management. So if we know what the plan and the action items are, we need to get them into our project management tool, assigned to the right people. We need to put hours limits if we're going to have a cap on something, like go spend 2 hours on this. And we want to get the wheels in motion on the actual action items getting completed that month while we're getting the monthly reports out the door. So that kind of first week of the month is really the time period for this. And I have some email templates to share with you here. This is the URL, and I can drop the slides in the chat, and then also make sure you get this URL here. Let's see if I drop it in here. I don't know if it'll go to everybody. It's in private chat mode, or maybe Emily might need to pass that along to you all. But what this basically does, I'm going to drop you over. When you click the link, it's going to open for you over here in a Google Doc. You can make a copy, and you'll get some sample email templates that follow that framework, and that basically help you to send monthly reports. And you can see some structure, and you can see basically kind of how we approach this in a handful of examples. This is the type of resource that Pathfinder SEO customers and subscribers have at their fingertips in our platform. Things around the business of offering SEO services, not just how to, not just how to do keyword research, but actually how to turn this into a profitable monthly SEO services plan. And so this is one of those one template that I wanted to make sure you had. And as I kind of scrolled up and down, you may have seen the piece of this that says sending a monthly report with good news. And then there's one sending a monthly report with bad news. And I can't tell you how long it took me when I first started in the SEO world to get comfortable sending clients a monthly report with bad news. And what I would do on the first of every month is I had all my automated reports. They'd come to my desk. I'd open up, 20 different reports for each of my customers. And I'd quickly just look, and I'd be like, fingers crossed, how many of these have positive news? Because I felt like we would probably get fired. And I was working at a larger digital agency. I wasn't working for myself. I thought I'd lose the client because I was sending them a report that said their traffic was down. And what I learned over time was that actually sending a report with bad news was sometimes the time where we built our partnerships in the strongest ways. And that is because as an SEO provider, I can't guarantee results. It's too dynamic of a space. Google can change the game. The client cannot participate, meaning they don't approve content, and I can't move the needle forward as quickly as I'd like. They may not have a budget that matches their goals or their expectations. And then there's the whole external world, in that customers and prospects of that client can actually search for their keywords more or less often in a given period because of seasonal trends, the economy. I mean, imagine the period with COVID. Most of our clients were receiving monthly reports with bad news because if you were in, say, the travel industry, nobody was searching for travel-related keywords. And so there's a lot of external factors that I don't have full control over. And thus, I started to learn to sort of present the information in a framework that built trust. And so in this case, when I do see that traffic is down or keyword rankings are down, I let them know what my response to that was. So I've reviewed it, and here are the things that I think are actually holding us back. It may not be just a singular issue. I think there could be multiple issues. And then I talked a little bit about basically how we're going to combat this. Will our strategy shift in the short run or the long run, depending on what we're seeing? And will we do basically different action items? Will we ask the client to participate in a different way to try to basically combat this decrease in traffic? And so I found that basically in presenting the information and being willing to share the good news and the bad news, you build trust with clients because they think, oh, this agency and this SEO is not just like all the others. They're not brushing under the rug the low months or the down data. They're actually being proactive and coming along in partnership with our business. And for most of the time, clients aren't surprised when you send this report because they've seen the real world business implications. Typically, when traffic is down and organic search is down, they're also seeing lower lead gen or lower sales. And so when you go to send them the report on, say, the 7th of the month, they've already closed out the previous month. They already kind of have a sense of if August, from just a big picture business sense, was a good month, a slow month, or a steady month. And so oftentimes your report doesn't actually come as much of a surprise. So that's a little bit on sort of a learning curve there, but more often than not, we're focusing on the up and up. We're focused on growth, and we're seeing growth, and our monthly reports can be a bit more cheerful and follow this format here. So you have access to that as a resource. And then I also want to leave you with a special offer from Pathfinder. If you're a new customer, you can sign up and get 25% off your first 6 months with the code 25% off 6. And I also have my email address in there. If you have questions, whether it's about Pathfinder SEO, you're always more than welcome to reach out. So a few of those things, and I know we've covered the breadth of the topic and the slides in the first half hour, and so we have time now to cover questions that can relate to this topic or actually start to go off topic and cover anything related to SEO. If you want to drop those in the chat, I'll keep an eye. I know Emily's keeping an eye. And Emily, should I address the first question that came in from the Facebook group?
Yeah, that would be wonderful, Lindsay. So that question, I'm not sure if we have him on the live stream watching, but I'll make sure to let him know that we address the question. How to recover a Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics account for a client.
So this is a good question, and it's in evolution because of this transition from Universal Analytics to GA4. And in my experience kind of in this topic, when a client, basically you sign on a new client and you say, I want to get access to your Google Analytics, I like to do a couple of things. The first thing I like to do is make sure the client actually has Google Analytics installed on their website. So if I ask them for something they can't provide, like analytics access, maybe it doesn't even exist in there. The next piece of the puzzle that I like to do is identify essentially how far back in time we think that GA data goes. So this is especially applicable right now in this transition to GA4, because if the client actually never took any action on GA4, and so maybe there's very little historic data there, you may decide that it's just not worth trying to track down the access that the client can't find. And so you decide to just fire up a new analytics account, or at the very least, you do so in the interim while you're going down this kind of looking for access piece. The next thing I do is usually get on a call, ideally over like a Zoom or something with screen sharing, where I can actually have the client log into analytics and I can help visually poke around to confirm they really don't have access. So we log into like their personal Gmail account, and in analytics, I don't need to see their email, but I need to see analytics. And we look at their, info at company, and we look at their this, and we just triple check that nobody in the organization has access or in their control. If all of those things fail and I still want to try to get access, then I turn to this Google resource, and I'm going to drop it in. It looks like it's a little out of date in terms of Google's updates, because essentially they're saying, this article is about Universal Analytics. But usually if you could get access into Universal Analytics, you'd also get your GA4. And so this just walks you through a process where you need to show that you're really the administrator on the website, et cetera. And then you can submit a contact to Google and try to track that down. So there are some support paths with analytics. If you're running Google Ads, it's even easier to get a little more support, because it being a paid platform, the Google Ads folks are typically pretty quick to try to help you sometimes solve issues on other Google platforms that are going to help you spend more money with Google in the long run. So that's a little insight there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really, Really helpful. And I hope, John, if you're not watching, I'm going to be tagging you so you can find this information that you were asking for in the Facebook group. Yesterday, I think he posted that question. Another question came in, Lindsay, from Ben watching on YouTube. Do you have any plans for internationalization of your Pathfinder SEO reports?
Good question. In terms of internationalization, there's probably a couple different ways to look at it. One thing that already exists and where the internationalization piece really comes into play is the ability, sorry, I keep not sharing the right tab as I go. Let me, I think I got it now. So here's your keyword rankings. You can see here, this is set to United States in English. As you add keywords or as you do keyword research, you can set the location and the language in both our bulk editor, but then also over in keyword research. And so with Google supporting kind of all things, we're basically supporting whatever Google, the database in Google for keyword research supports. And then we are providing location-specific rank tracking so that you're tracking on, say, google.co.uk for your rankings if you're a UK-based business. So that piece is in place. In terms of internationalization of the data from GA, this all relies on your GA setup. And so right now, we don't highlight or filter and say, only look at the traffic from people in, say, the UK. It's all the data in your account. And we haven't had too many requests in there. And so that, and then Ben clarifies his next question is, what if the headers could be in other languages as well? I think that's a really great piece of feedback, and it is in the roadmap, but it's not something in active development. So it's not going to be here like next month. But I think it would be great to be able to customize these headers and make sure our labels have an international component as well. So great feedback, and we'll keep that in mind as we evolve these reports.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Ben. Great question, and great insights on using Pathfinder as well, Lindsay. So thanks for showing us that. If you have questions, post them now. We're wrapping things up here. So if you have SEO questions for Lindsay, make sure to post them. If you're watching this live stream recording later on, you can post questions as well, and we'll get to them next month. We'll save them. I do take stock of the questions and pay attention to things people are saying on our live streams and all of that. So you can be assured that I will get those questions to Lindsay sooner or later. We will be back again with Lindsay next month to talk more SEO. And I posted the link. You can go to pathfinderseo.com. You can find that in the links that I posted in the comments there, and use code 25off6 for, I messed up my my comment there, for 25% off your first 6 months. So I got it right on Facebook, but I think the comment I posted on YouTube was a little different. But anyway, the 25% off your first 6 months of Pathfinder SEO, 25off6 is the code. And yeah, you can reach out to Lindsay at pathfinderseo.com. Is that the best way to get in touch with you, Lindsay?
Yep, email is the best way. You'll get the quickest response. And it looks like we just had one more question pop in. Oh, 2 more questions pop in. So I can keep answering. We've got a few more minutes here. Ben comments on the Universal experience, which is, it's a bit tricky to convert Looker Studio from Universal Analytics to GA4. Is there any mapping document for that? My answer to that is I did not find any great mapping documents or resources in Looker Studio for GA4 for our handful of clients that utilize that. That was actually for us a big motivator. We had some legacy SEO clients that have been with us forever, whose Universal Analytics reports were powered by Looker Studio that I hadn't migrated into Pathfinder. And rather than build them Looker Studio reports, I went ahead and just moved them into Pathfinder and started using that as a reporting platform. In our experience, though, in general, is we started, at the agency level, starting from scratch is really the best way to go with building a new Looker Studio report for GA4, or buying these templates that are out there, that you can pay $39 and get a baseline build for like an e-commerce website performance template in Looker Studio with GA4, or a Google Ads template, and And that basically helps to make sure that they're kind of pulling in the right, metric with the right label and everything. And Ben said, I did trial and error and it kind of works. Yeah. Something as simple as getting average time on site is something that you have to like create a custom field for. Or if I only want to highlight one of my conversions, like form conversions, I have to build custom filters and all these things in Looker Studio. And so there's a ton of trial and error. And it's an area that, I think the team at Google could have done a nicer job of helping us, basically map metrics and try to keep things as apples to apples as possible. A Facebook user asked, any tips for building a new site for a person who is both a realtor and a horse breeder? Oh, that's an interesting combination of two very different industry spaces. But I do know that, in our area, some of the realtors sort of brand themselves around a specific expertise. And so they brand themselves as like knowing ranch properties because they love horses or because they have a secondary job and sort of service. And so we also see that with like fly fishing guides here might also be realtors because they know the riverfront properties and things like that. And so I don't know if the use case example here is that this person really just has two totally separate businesses, or if the angle is there is a tie between the horse breeding and the real estate side. But essentially, I think a lot of the branding is going to be around the person, and because it's probably not going to have a name like something real estate or something horse breeder. And then you're going to need the angle is the tie-in. Okay, perfect. If the angle is the tie-in, then essentially, you can do a lot of good storytelling, a lot of storytelling in the about page about who the realtor is, and then keep the real estate pages like homes for sale, condos for sale, land for sale, maybe ranch property for sale in sort of a navigation item, real estate listings, and then a drop down for each of those kind of subcategories. And with all of the keyword research and all of the keyword optimization, typically when you try to rank in the real estate space for like Denver homes for sale, you're competing in a huge sea. And so you need to be one of the big dogs or have a lot of domain authority, or it's pretty hard. And so in this case, this realtor has an angle of saying, Denver homes for sale, or Denver ranches for sale, or Denver horse properties for sale, things like that. And so trying to get location, what it is being sold, land, ranch, home, etc., and then also something around horse, whatever the type of property, horse property for sale or something like that. Trying to get kind of longer tail keywords would be a way to try to get an inroad into going for quality over quantity for this client from an SEO standpoint. They may not get 10,000 visits a month from Google, but if they could get 200 or even 100, and they were 100 really qualified visitors, that would be a huge value add. The other thing is, I think a little bit about building audience. And so when I think about keyword strategy and building a site, I think about like a funnel. At the bottom of the funnel is the realtor's name or the business name. And that's sort of the give me traffic that they should rank ideally for without much effort. Then you move up the funnel and you're in that keyword space we just talked about, the like transactional, I'm looking for Denver homes for sale where I could have a horse or something like that. So they're kind of transactional keywords. But there's also this big upper funnel, and it's a great space to fill when you start to think about other ways to get in front of the right audience, just not always at the exact moment that they're ready for this offer. And so if you think about this realtor could probably write a lot of great content that shares information about horse breeding, owning horses, everything in the horse space. And if you wanted to get in front of those people in Denver, you could write content like best Denver, outdoor stores with tackle and the things that people are going to need for horses. I don't know the space very well. So like where you go to shop for, say, a saddle. So you could create an article that's geographically located. That's all about where to go shop for, feed or these things that support this audience in this place, just not in the time where they're looking to buy real estate. but it's a nice way of building audience and also sharing expertise. And so there could be a place for a blog or some resources that are both sometimes horse specific and other times real estate specific resources. So, 10 questions to ask a realtor when buying your next, again, horse property. Like, you don't want to try to cast yourselves into the biggest sea. You want to go specific, but taking both of those angles and trying to attack the upper funnel is essentially another way to go here. Awesome. I'm just scrolling around. I don't see more questions. Emily, did I miss anything?
I think you got them all. I loved that question though. That was fun to listen to you work through as well.
Yeah, I don't think it through in my head. But anyways,
it was great.
I've been there in that space, and it's always fun thinking strategy. And it's easier to think strategy when you're a step removed, like I am. You're close to the client, and it can be sometimes a little harder. But when you're kind of just coming at it with no preconceived notions, sometimes it's a bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And SEO is it can be such a headache and so complicated and frustrating, but it can also be so fun to brainstorm on and talk about and those sorts of things. So I loved seeing how you kind of work that out in your head. So great question. That was from Kristen over on Facebook. So great question, Kristen. Those are some hard letters to put together. All right. I don't see any more questions coming through. Again, if you have more questions, feel free to post them in the Facebook group, and we'll get to them next month. We'll be back here again with Lindsay next month with a new topic. So stay tuned. Check your emails. If you're on Facebook, I'll be posting it on there, and I'll be sending the email out when we've got it. So I hope to see everyone then. Lindsay, thank you so much for your time and all of your expertise today. As always, learned a lot, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you all later. Thanks, everyone.